First, let me say Happy Father's Day. Not quite the way I thought I'd be spending it, but nor you probably thought either. So, first, let me start off by once again doing something I've been doing for a while. I've been thanking the Senate. The Senate showed real leadership when they passed 128, 14-5, a strong vote, and I was very, very pleased. That gave me a lot of encouragement, a lot of hope that we were going to get this piece out of the way, and unfortunately, we did not. We did not see the same carry over of that leadership and momentum and statesmanship follow over into the House. We absolutely cannot delay a year. We absolutely cannot delay and wait to see how elections come out. The cost of delay is unacceptable to Alaskans. About a year ago, we had a balanced approach we proposed. When I say balanced, there were lots of pieces to it, and we think it takes a balanced approach. You know, there's no one lever you can pull hard enough without damaging Alaska to fix this problem. It takes a balanced approach. It takes a fair approach, and that's the purpose of that, is to make sure that no one sector of Alaska's economy, of our state, bears an inappropriate burden on resolving this issue. You know, a lot of questions about can we afford a special session and another special session as a result of where we are fiscally. The special session costs about $13,000 a day, and our deficit's about $11 million a day. Yes, we can afford another special session. We can afford not to have another special session to resolve this issue. A lot of discussion about the budget. There are those you wouldn't know that some of the legislature had any role in the budget. You'd think I'm the only one that has any role in the budget. I haven't received the budget yet. I'm told I'll receive it tomorrow. I'm anxious to receive it. Once I receive it, then it's my budget. But right now, it's the legislature's budget, which they have passed, and they are transmitting it over to me as soon as tomorrow. There have been a lot of cuts. There's as many numbers as you can come up with as far as how much that is. It's over 20% cut in the budget. 1,700 fewer state employees than 2 years ago. But it really comes down to a lot of focus on the permanent fund, a lot of focus on the permanent fund dividend. And I just will say, I don't know how many times I've said this, that program is at risk. If we don't make a change in under 4 years, it will go to zero. So those that are concerned about receiving a lesser dividend this year, and I applaud the Senate for what they did on that, that is a step to make sure we will have a dividend going out in generations. So some changes now will impact generations of gain. So that's absolutely critical. You know, there's a lot of blame going around as far as, you know, who's responsible, who's this, who's that. You know, we can't blame our way out of this deficit, and nor should we. It's not about who's at blame in the situation. It's about fixing Alaska. So we've got a ways to go. I did issue a proclamation this morning for another special session, July 11th, here in the capital city of Juneau. So in the interim, folks can do what they need to do. I tell you, it's painful for me to call a special session. I know there are those that their livelihood depends upon their summer activities. You know, livelihood it depends upon being able to commercial fish. It's a difficult decision, very difficult decision for me to make, but it's one that I am absolutely convinced that if we don't fix this now, our challenges next year will be even magnified. And you know, it's not so much, I mean, certainly I look at the bond rating issues, and that's not, you know, does not help the situation, but it's the uncertainty of businesses across the state that are not sure if they should go ahead and invest in Alaska or not. You know, not sure that we have what it takes to fix the problem. I believe we do have what it takes to fix the problem. I think we have what it needs right now to fix the problem. So that's why I've called another special session. You know, and you know, trying to figure out a way of sort of emphasizing the situation we're in. We put together a graphic sort of showing where we are. That's the need for the urgency. That's why we need the leadership that says, yes, let's fix the problem now. You know, last time I stood here, I said, do we have to go broke before we fix the problem? I guess we're saying, do we have to run out of savings before we fix the problem? And I'm saying we don't have to. We absolutely don't have to. So it's about getting the job done now. And so is it politically uncomfortable? Of course it's politically uncomfortable. When I stepped on that field and introduced the legislation, it was pretty lonely. I was happy to see the Senate join me on 128. And so I look forward to the House doing the same, and we can move on to the next phase of this doesn't fix all the problem, but this is a cornerstone of it. Some would like to have other things done first. I've learned in this, get everything in the order you'd like to receive it. Does that mean we back off on the other pieces? Absolutely not. But this is a critical piece on the on 128. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Steve.
Steve Quinn of Bloomberg. One of the notes on the proclamation addresses oil taxes and credits. What does that signal for HB 247?
It's probably too early to say on that. I have not received 240. Actually, I have received 247, so I've not made a decision on that. So. It's one of those things that I need to do a proclamation before the time that I've received all the bills, so some of it's sort of anticipatory. So I wouldn't read too much into that. We'll see when it's time for me to sit down and focus on that particular piece of legislation. A lot of good work was done on that legislation. I recognize that, and I appreciate the good work that was done. I will evaluate that and take that into consideration. Liz?
Governor Liz Reigns with KTVA. On the special session proclamation, the focus is narrowed, but all of the sticking points are still there as far as, something to do with oil taxes, the slew of taxes now, sales tax has been added to that. So how do you, now in this next special session, what changes, how do you move forward?
Well, we're down to 3 now. We had 11, I think, the last time we had a special session, so I think we've made a lot of progress. So it's been narrowed down. I think it's tightened up a bit. It's helpful. The one body has already taken the action. Unfortunately, now they'll have to go back and take it again. But so we were close. A little frustrating not being able to get out of committee so that the entire House could vote on it. So we think that we'll continue to work on getting out of committee and getting it to the floor. James?
James Brooks from the Juneau Empire. Governor, why do you believe anything will be different in the 5th special session?
Well, I think it will be because I think that the Alaskans. I will address I'll address some of these issues in the budget, and when the budget comes to me, and I am address the financial situation of Alaska through the budget, I think it will be, in some ways, it'll get some Alaskans' attention in that process. So I am in a situation that. Things that I anticipated would be done legislatively have not been, and therefore I need to do some. I have the opportunity, I have the obligation to do some things as governor with the budget. So I think that will bring a focus to it.
And just to follow up on that, is one of those things going to be vetoing a portion of the permanent fund dividend payment? We'll
look at every item individually and decide between now and July 1st what items get vetoed and what does not. I'm going to go to the phone with Nat.
Thanks. Nat Hearns with Alaska Discussion. I will ask one quick follow-up to James's question. I mean, should there be any expectation by Alaskans and by the legislature that you would leave the full dividend appropriation in the budget, or should people expect that there will be at least some reduction in that appropriation?
It's really too soon. I'll see that one in the full context of the budget, and so I would say at this point, Nat, all options are on the table.
Okay, so thank you. And then my other question is just simply like, what would you say to folks that are just straight out weary of this process, weary of having their legislators, legislative staffers? I will admit, being a reporter, people have spent 5 months in Juneau. It does not seem like there is the will to get this permanent fund legislation out of the House. What would you say to people who are sort of questioning, the decision to bring people back so soon after such kind of a long and drawn out process already?
I would say, Nat, I would say to them, we're all weary. My team is weary. We began this process over a year ago, and have had been working on this for over a year. We're all weary of this, but I think Alaska's future is worth it. Alaska's future is worth additional time on this issue to get it right. Andrew?
Members of the House majority have cited the size of government in their opposition to moving the permanent fund bill, and including Rules Chairman Johnson. He said to KTVA, he said of you, he can call me back to session until the cows come home. I'm not going to change until we have a sustainable size of government. What's your response to that?
Well, we'll keep calling them back, and we'll continue to work with them. You know, the size of government may be a bit different after this budget is complete, and it's not complete until I have completed my part. There's certainly an opportunity for budget override any of my vetoes. But so I would say that that process is still ongoing. James?
Governor, you had said the size of government may be quite a bit different, and you referenced the override possibility. I understand you're not willing to talk about specific vetoes, but are you willing to talk about strategy? Would you veto things to the point where you're inviting them to override and forcing them to take a vote on something?
You know, that's just not my strategy. I don't do things to entice them to come back and do something. You know, I will veto to what I think is appropriate. They certainly have every right to do that, but I'm not going to. I'll go to where I think we need to go, and where we have to go. And again, they have the right to come in and veto. Steve?
Governor, you obviously have a little bit of tweaking to your original philosophies with the prospects of a sales tax. Do you see these proposals being separate or an aggregate? I know you've tried both approaches.
We have tried both approaches. We did add it back in the sales tax. We heard a number of requests from some saying they wish the sales tax was on the was on the table. So we got them all on the table. I think they're all there. So so that's why we put them, and we put them back together. First time we had them separate. Then they wanted apart. We split them apart. This time we put them back together again. So, so it's again, it brings that balanced approach that I think is so incredibly important. And it's not just necessarily the dollar amount of each one. Some of them have been criticized, but they don't bring in a tremendous amount of money, but they bring in a tremendous amount of balance. And that's what we're really looking for is the balance associated with that. I appreciate Senator McKinnon, Senator McChickey being here today, and I'll take one last question. And I may have just taken the last question too. So, thanks very much. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the weekend, and we'll be back at it. We'll still be back at it the rest of the day today. So, thank you very much.